The old wooden cabin stood silent beneath a cold Norwegian sky as the cowboy slowly pushed the creaking door open. Dust floated through the air, and everything looked exactly as it had years ago, except for one thing. A small envelope rested on the old table. His name was written across the front in handwriting he would never forget. His heart began to race. He looked around, but the Apache girl was nowhere to be seen. With trembling hands, he opened the letter. The first line made his face turn pale. "If you are reading this, it means I have disappeared, and someone is coming for both of us." The cowboy froze. He rushed outside, but the snow-covered forest was completely silent. There were no footprints except his own. Who had written the letter? Why had she vanished without a word? And who was hunting them after all these years? He remembered the promise they had made before saying goodbye. They had believed their difficult days were finally over, yet the letter proved they had been wrong. As he continued reading, every sentence uncovered another hidden secret. The Apache girl revealed that for years she had protected a truth so dangerous that even speaking about it could destroy their future together. She had hidden clues in places only he could recognize. The cowboy realized this was not just a love story anymore. It had become a race against time. He saddled his horse and rode deep into the snowy Norwegian mountains, following the first clue mentioned in the letter. The freezing wind grew stronger, and dark clouds slowly covered the sky. Suddenly, he noticed fresh horse tracks crossing his path. Someone else had found the trail. He wasn't alone anymore. He urged his horse forward, but every mile increased the danger. As evening approached, he reached the frozen lake where the second clue was supposed to be hidden. The lake was empty until he spotted a familiar blue scarf lying on the ice. It belonged to the Apache girl. He picked it up carefully, and beneath it was another note with only 5 chilling words. "Don't trust the man behind you." The cowboy's eyes widened. Slowly, he turned around, and someone was already standing there. The cowboy slowly turned around, his hand tightening around the blue scarf. A tall man stood only a few steps away, his face hidden beneath a dark winter hood. Neither of them spoke. The icy wind howled across the frozen lake as they stared at each other. Then the stranger quietly said, "If you want to see her alive again, follow me, but ask no questions." Every instinct warned the cowboy not to trust him, yet the Apache girl's note echoed in his mind. She had written, "Don't trust the man behind you." But now there was no one else. Was the stranger the danger, or the only person who could save her? With no better choice, the cowboy followed him into the dense Norwegian pine forest. After hours of walking, they reached an abandoned wooden church buried beneath thick snow. Inside, the stranger lit an old lantern and placed a faded map on the table. The map showed secret trails leading through the mountains, with one location marked by a red circle. "She left this for you," the stranger whispered. "She knew this day would come." Before the cowboy could ask another question, the church door suddenly burst open. 3 armed riders stormed inside. The stranger pushed the cowboy behind a wooden pillar and shouted, "Run! They must never get the map!" A fierce chase began through the snowy forest. The cowboy clutched the map tightly as bullets struck the frozen trees around him. His horse raced through deep snow while the riders closed in from every direction. He finally escaped by crossing a narrow wooden bridge that collapsed moments after he reached the other side. Exhausted but alive, he stopped near an old mountain cabin marked on the map. Inside, everything was silent. Then he noticed a small wooden box hidden beneath the floorboards. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside were an old silver necklace, a photograph of him and the Apache girl, taken years earlier, and one final letter. The letter revealed a truth that shattered everything he believed. She had never left him by choice. She had disappeared to protect him because someone wanted revenge for a secret from long before they had ever met. At the bottom of the page, she had written one final sentence. "Tomorrow at sunrise, come alone to Eagle Cliff, if you still believe in our love." The cowboy folded the letter, looked toward the snowy mountains, and knew the final journey had begun. But hidden outside the cabin, someone was already watching his every move. As the first light of sunrise touched the snow-covered mountains, the cowboy rode toward Eagle Cliff with the silver necklace, safely inside his coat. The freezing wind grew stronger with every step, but nothing could stop him now. At the edge of the cliff, a lonely figure stood facing the endless valley. Slowly she turned around. It was the Apache girl. Tears filled both of their eyes as they ran toward each other and embraced after years of fear, silence, and sacrifice. For a brief moment, the world around them disappeared, but the peace lasted only seconds. The sound of horses echoed through the mountains as the armed riders surrounded the cliff from every direction. Their leader stepped forward and smiled coldly. "The secret ends today," he said. The cowboy stood protectively in front of the Apache girl while she quietly placed the silver necklace into his hand. Inside the necklace was a tiny hidden key. She pointed toward an ancient wooden chest hidden beneath the rocks. Together, they opened it. Inside were old documents proving that the land, the cabins, and the surrounding valley, legally, belonged to the Apache girl's family, and that everything had been stolen through lies many years ago. The riders had chased them all these years to keep the truth buried forever. The leader lunged forward to seize the documents, but before he could reach them, several local villagers and mountain rangers arrived on horseback. The mysterious stranger from the church had secretly asked them for help. Faced with witnesses and undeniable proof, the riders surrendered without a fight. For the first time in years, the truth was finally free. Days later, the valley was filled with laughter instead of fear. The stolen land was returned, the old cabin was rebuilt, and the cowboy and the Apache girl planted a young pine tree beside their home as a symbol of a new beginning. As the sun set behind the snowy Norwegian mountains, the cowboy smiled and said, "Every road that separated us only led me back to you." She held his hand and replied, "Real love never loses its way." Together they watched the peaceful sky above them, knowing that their greatest battle had finally ended. But as they walked back toward the cabin, the camera slowly revealed another unopened envelope resting beside the old pine tree. Across the front, in unfamiliar handwriting, were the chilling words, "The story is not over yet."